Some 330 million years ago, the suburban town of Bearsden, situated on the north bank of the River Clyde, 6 miles west of Glasgow city centre, has emerged from the prehistoric landmass of Laurentia. When Scotland sat south of its current latitude in the equatorial waters of what was then shallow sedimented lagoons formed by the divergent plate boundaries of the
Get to the shark!
Action.
when ununiform fractures form subterranean to weaker linear rises in the Earth's
Cut.
litos.
Get to the shark!
Action.
These ruptures formed what is now known as the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, which at that time sat between Laurentia and...
Blimey, it's been a while since anyone's been back here. I was just getting comfy too, but I ain't complaining. Well, I better introduce myself. My name is Akmestinian Zangerli, Greek or something for anvil sail. Pretty neat, innit? I think it's something to do with my big dorsal fin. People don't give me much attention these days. I'm categorised under fish for Pete's sake, or an ironing board. Being only 1 metre doesn't amount to much press, does it? Stupid megalodon. Megalodon, more like. Things were harder back over 300 million years before that marine unit. Us sharks pioneered what was to come, much like anything in evolution, and I was stuck with this inelegant block covered with small spines, similar to my other relatives in the Cethacanthidae group. This head-heavy lump means I couldn't travel as fast as my mates. Made me a pathetic sportsman, but alas, you get used to it. You learn things move slower down on the seabed, so I got by just fine. Megalodon. I like that. Back in my day, these waters were far toastier and shallower than they are here now. And as much as it'd be fun swimming around the towns of Ayrshire and the suburbs of Glasgow, we got the luxury of tropical lagoons in our equatorial waters. So that could be worse. No jetting off to Mallorca required. Not that there was need to. Things were much closer in the golden Pangea days. The Highlands used to meet the Rockies before they were separated by millions of years of tectonic action. In fact, many of my relatives have been unearthed in Montana, of all places. So all too soon, my days closed in and it ended there.
This here is the site where it was all discovered. A huge deal for paleontology as a whole, and all thanks to one person.
Who the shell are you?
What?
Keep your mitts off my dig site.
I thought this would happen. Yes, Jim, I tell Julie to fish out the permit. I'm going to need it ASAP.
Paperwork? You dafty.
What do you want?
I see what's happening. This movie you're making is about me.
It's about a shark that went extinct about 330...
30 million years ago. I know the story. Do you want my help or not?
Where is your voice even coming from?
My name is Akmestinian Zangerli. Oh, reached it. The Bearsden shark then.
Mansburn is a pretty insignificant body of water. That is until 1982, where renowned fossil hunter Stan Wood was brought rocks housing fossil bearings for small prehistoric aquatic life in marine shales along the burn. Remnants of marine fossils used to be visible along the burn for many to find. I thought you were helping.
Sharks are a strange kind of fossil because they don't tend to preserve very well because they're made mostly of cartilage, and cartilage tends to decompose very rapidly.
It is the best sample of the fossil shark anywhere in the world. Any other samples are fragmented and nothing like the quality of the Bearsden shark.
Normally the cartilage would decompose completely and all you would be left with are just the teeth, the denticles of the shark. But it's so unusual that even the blood vessels, the muscles and the last meal of the shark are perfectly preserved inside the body of the fossil.
That's a museum now, just sort of over there.
No way! For oldies like me.
Aye, prehistoric.
Psst, we're waiting.
Oh, you've been summoned.
Action.
When the fossil was first found, Stan had a particular way of identifying whether there was a fossil inside the rock or not. If there was a slight bulge to it, then he said, yes, there's a fossil shark. Nobody else could have said there's a fossil shark in there just by looking at the rock, but he was able to tell from the shape of the rock, the slight indentations and bulging in the rock, that there was something inside there.
His reputation was second to none because he could find things, he could recover things, and he could preserve things which have formed the basis of an awful lot of the paleontological science since those days.
While Stan Woods is credited for discovering the fossil, its importance scientifically and in the field would not be what it was without the help of others.
Stan approached the Hunterian. At that time there was a scheme called YOP, Youth Opportunities Programme, and this was a government encouraging young people who were otherwise unemployed to get work experience. So funding was made available and Stan put together a team.
In terms of paleontology, this was a big excavation. It was about 5 metres by 3 metres sized pit that he was able to dig. And from this dig he was able to find a number of these fossil sharks which went to other museums.
Quite an attention seeker.
Must be my anvil. I'll give it to you guys. You lot are clever. Not all of you.
Nobody's entirely sure what the dorsal fin was used for, but one of the ideas mooted is it was for display purposes so that the male could attract females for mating.
There's been a whole host of different ideas as to what this might have been used for. Some people have suggested that it may have been that the shark would arch its back so that the dorsal spine would point forward with all its teeth pointing forward, and it also had a lot of teeth on the top of its head as well, so that would make it look like a huge big mouth. Others have suggested that it may have been for attaching to bigger fish so that it could hitch a ride and feed off any food remains that came out of the mouth. Other possibilities include scrabbling about in the mud, turning over and scrabbling about in the mud to try and get small invertebrates and whatever out so that it could feed on them.
That one?
Glasgow Uni.
Huh.
Hey, you're answering the questions, not me.
So whatever, a big deal.
Aye, sadly, to some degree.
Sadly.
Well,
What's that one?
Kelvin Grove.
Big scientific thing, huh?
Well, not just that.
Huh?
Well, there's a poem about you.
A what?
A poem by Edwin Morgan.
What?
Edwin Morgan.
Oh.
Hello, officer. There's a madman running about the park with an umbrella. I think he's about to batter someone.
While Woods was clearly a very talented fossil hunter, events like this can't help but make me think that how can such a story, such a strong historical discovery, come from just a few square metres of dull bankside above a small burn? What about the few metres next to that? What about that field, that park?
What about them?
Can you not just let me finish a point?
Ooh, we've angered the Kraken.
Krakens don't exist.
The square metres next to that field, that park.
The thing that really inspires me is finding something new, something different, something nobody has ever seen before, and bringing it back to life almost. It's trying to bring what has been dead for 300 million years back to life.
Exactly, you didn't exist before 1982.
Looking good for 40 at that.
It really is important to remember findings like this. They bring communities together that are becoming increasingly separated with modern lifestyles and technology. They educate us all about where we live and where we come from. I had no idea about all this.
Nope.
Shut it. You're cool, but you're not funny. With all the negativity and quickly changing society we find ourselves in, whether you're interested in the history or not, stepping back and appreciating positive findings like this remind us how productive and clever people can be. It reminds us to value what we have and the world we live on.
Okay, God, enough.
What else used to happen here before Glasgow, before Bearsden? What else used to live in these lands, these waters?